So today we are going to be doing a follow-up video to the video I posted called Why Essential Oils. Today we're going to be talking about purity and why it matters. If you have done any research into the world of essential oils, you know that purity is like the main thing people like to talk about. I never really understood why. I used to get essential oils from everywhere, anywhere, because I just thought they were primarily for making your house smell good. I didn't know that some could be dangerous. I just didn't know that all essential oils are not created equally, and so I wanted to talk about why. Why is that, and what facts do we have to prove it? First thing we want to talk about when we talk about purity is the process of distillation and how do we even get the essential oil out of the plant. It all starts with the soil, right? Like when you plant anything, the first step that you're going to be doing is getting the soil the way that it needs to be. A lot of times if you have soil that has been previously used to grow other crops and they used chemicals and pesticides or fertilizers that have chemicals in them, that stuff stays in the soil. You know, you go to the store, you got just a normal average apple. You wash it off, chances are there's going to be trace amounts of pesticides on that apple, right? You eat it and you're fine. I mean, ideally, we don't want to be consuming pesticides, but that's like a typical thing that happens, right? Well, let's talk about essential oils because essential oils are so concentrated. So let's just talk about lemon. You're a farmer and you've sprayed that tree with pesticides throughout the growth. Well, first of all, why even do that? Well, it's going to keep the bugs away, right? So you're going to have a bigger crop yield. And oftentimes, the trees and the soil and everything is laden with chemicals because we want more. Like, we want more bang for our buck. We want to have more lemons to sell. We want the lemons to be bigger, healthier, as in all disease kept away, all bugs kept away. So our idea of healthy is like the perfectly like protected in a way lemon. Well, you take those lemons that have been sprayed with pesticides, and to get the lemon into a bottle, it's not distilled, it's actually cold pressed. The peel of the lemon is pressed, and that's how you get the essential oil. And that's why it takes so many lemons to fill a teeny little bottle. So it takes a lot of peels to make this bottle. If you think about a tree that has been sprayed continually with chemicals and pesticides, even if you washed those, you're still taking 75 to 100 lemons with trace amount or more pesticides on it and putting it into this little bottle. So it's not like you're taking an apple, washing it off and eating it. It's like you've got 75 to 100 lemons treated with chemicals squeezed into a little bottle. So that is a little bit frightening, right? Okay, so that's one reason why purity is so important to talk about, because we're talking about, you know, plants as a whole, but then concentrated into these bottles. So you don't want a bottle full of anything except for the plant, right? Because if you're using this to clean things or to help your skin or to help you with digestion or whatever it may be, pesticides don't belong in that process, right? So when we're talking about the purity of essential oils, we're talking about a lot of things, a lot of factors. So I just gave you the pesticide example, but oftentimes, let's say in the distillation process, because lemon isn't something that has to be distilled. Let's talk about lavender. Lavender is grown, it's harvested, and then it's distilled, and that's how you get the essential oil out of it. On top of a lot of companies using pesticides on their crops, during the distillation process, they also use solvents, you know, while it's being distilled to extract the most out of the plant. The problem with that is that you can never fully separate those chemical solvents and the oil itself. So if you use solvents in the process to extract more, to make more money, to have a more abundant supply of lavender oil, and you use solvents, then when you bottle that into a little bottle, not only do you have like trace amounts of pesticides and chemicals and whatever was used in the growing process, but now you have additional chemicals and solvents that were used to extract more oil out of the plant. Okay, so there's a couple fun statistics that I like to talk to people about because it really hits this point home. So last year, the essential oil market exploded by 100%. Okay, 100%. But here's the interesting fact. the amount of farms that are producing crops and plants to be distilled for essential oils barely grew at all. So what does that tell you? If you think critically about the situation, that means that there's a lot going into these bottles from other companies that aren't essential oil. So you might be asking, like, how are we supposed to know? Like, if you go to the grocery store, if you go to Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart, Target, you'll see these bottles and all of them say 100% pure. And you're like, I mean, I used to think like, oh, it says 100% pure, like it's pure. Why wouldn't it be pure? And it's not anyone's fault for thinking that, because in my opinion, it sucks when, you know, an item is marketed and labeled as something that it's not. Essential oils only have to contain, so this bottle only has to contain 5% essential oil to be labeled as pure. If nothing else, if you find an essential oil bottle at the store, at the drugstore, you're like, this chick that I'm looking at online is crazy. She's telling me the oils I have in my house aren't pure. It says pure, done. Sadly, that's not true, because it only has to have 5% essential oil. So what else are they using? Some companies will use water or alcohol or additives to stretch this. Sometimes they use 5% essential oil and then they synthetically create essential oil in a lab that is made to smell just like whatever essential oil it is that they're creating. So lavender, let's say. So here's the crazy part. I used to have a lot of those oils, I still do, and I like to keep them because when you smell the real thing compared to the artificial thing or the thing that is adulterated, it is so easy to tell the difference when they're side by side. If you came to my house, I could give you a bottle of lavender that is pure, that only has lavender oil in it. It's never been touched with pesticides or any sort of chemicals, never had any solvents used on it during distillation. I could hand you that bottle, and side by side, I could hand you a bottle of 100% pure, generic lavender, and I promise you that you could tell the difference. It's really crazy. So my question is this. Why would you, in an effort to make your home more natural, to stop using harsh, you know, like room freshener sprays and all of that stuff, perfumes even, why would you go and purchase an essential oil that actually isn't essential oil at all? It's just more chemicals masked to be an essential oil. That doesn't make sense. But there is no organization that's regulating essential oils and what is actually going in them. They don't have to list ingredients, which is a huge bummer. So you don't actually know what's in there. Okay, well, since I mentioned, you know, that there's no agency regulating this stuff, then you might be wondering, well, then how can we be sure that any company is doing things right? Like, how are we supposed to know? If I call Walmart's line of essential oils and ask them questions about it, are they gonna be able to tell me anything? Probably not. I'm not one of those people that will say there's only one company in the entire planet that's doing it right. I think there are more. We ended up landing on this particular company because they have said, look, we realize no one's regulating what's going into these oils. Like, you're walking through the store and you're like, who knows what the heck is in this bottle of cedar wood, you know? But we are going to prove to you that our oils come from good places, and they truly are just a bottle of lemon, just a bottle of lavender, nothing else. And on top of being nothing else in terms of fillers, we're not going to use chemicals, we're not going to use pesticides. And what's cool is you can actually go visit their farms, you can go work on their farms and see how they do everything. You can be a part of every step of the process. And so that leads me to my next thing. You know, Chris and I have talked about this issue of purity, and we were thinking about how all of these companies who aren't selling pure oils, who are just doing the, you know, bare minimum FDA regulations to label their bottle pure, we were thinking about these companies and how they're pushing their oils as being pure and good for you when really they're not. Like, okay, your bottle of oil shouldn't say that it's flammable. But if you go to the grocery store or you go to your local health food store and you pick out oils, almost all of them say flammable. Please do not diffuse something to make your house smell good that says it's flammable. Like, that is not essential oil. Let's just like think about this for a second. You're a farmer, okay? And you're committed to producing like 100% literally authentic oil and nothing else in here. Okay, so you get your website going and you like put your oils out there for sale. If you're doing everything right, aren't you gonna brag about it? Like any salesperson who grows their food organically, who makes jewelry from scratch, like completely hand makes everything, any artisan, any like baker who uses like pure products in their stuff, they tell you that. Why? Because it's awesome. Like, it's a selling point. It's good marketing for them. They're like, this is why you want to buy this from me, because it literally, I used all of the best stuff. They're not trying to sell you crap, okay? So if you have an oil company who's not telling you anything, they're not telling you where their oils come from, they're not telling you about their farming practices, they're not telling you anything about how the oil got into this bottle and onto the shelf, why would you think that it's a good essential oil? Because in reality, any company these days who is doing things the right way, they're telling you. If you're watching this in the month of April, there's gonna be tons of giveaways that we're doing this month for people who decide to get started. I know it kind of is a big leap, especially when, you know, you don't have time to do a ton of research up front. That's what I'm hoping to do here, is to just give you little bits of information at a time to make it more easy to understand and to kind of walk through the process step by step. So if you've been waiting to get started, April might be your month, because we're gonna do some crazy giveaways. And our goal is not to do this for no reason. Like, we truly want people to experience how amazing these oils are and how much they can impact your life. And adding giveaways on top of that is just like fun. Like, why not? We just love doing that. So make sure you check out my both of my Instagram profiles. I have a personal one and I have like a one that's dedicated just to oils. If you're following those, you won't miss them, and they're gonna be good stuff. So keep an eye out for that, and we will see you next time.